Hello. Today I'm going to talk about some of the side effects of schools teaching you things that aren't true, or flat out lying to you, which they do. Not everything, but they definitely do. I'm going to start out in health class. In health class they teach you about drugs, and that's an important thing, just as it's important to learn how to sew and cook, because, you tear your jeans, it's useful to be able to sew it up. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, that's just useful. Same thing with cooking. If you can't nourish yourself, what kind of a person are you? It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, it's useful, just as useful. But when they teach us about drugs, they teach us things in ways that the government has told them to. And the government lies about drugs a lot because they're liars. Not always, but they are liars. Like, this is just an example. Cannabis, or pot, is classified legally as a narcotic, but it's not a narcotic. It's not in that class of drugs at all. It's a different, I don't know what it is in, but it's not a narcotic, I know that. And they try to put all drugs in these 4 categories. And I don't know how many categories of drugs there are, but I'm pretty damn sure that there's not just 4. And when they teach you about drugs, they lie to you about them. And that makes you wonder what other things they lied to you about. Here's an example. They taught us in school that pot causes cancer, and that it causes ulcers in your throat and stuff like that. But that's not true. Smoking causes cancer and ulcers in your throat and stuff like that. It doesn't matter what you smoke. Smoking anything is carcinogenic. But when they lie about things like that, it can make you wonder. Like in my case, I know that heroin is not a good thing. But some of the other kids might think, they lied to me about pot, and then maybe they lied to me about heroin. Maybe they lied to me about cocaine. Maybe those things aren't really bad for you at all. That's very harmful. It's very bad. It's gotten to the point where, it makes me want to leave class. And it makes it to where I shouldn't have to go to a public school where they lie to me. But it's even worse if you don't know that they're lying to you, because then you find out later. And sometimes it's too late when you find out. But some other things that they teach you that are kind of wrong, or total flat-out lies. I'm trying to remember them. Blanking now, but okay, I remembered. I paused the recording. So they teach you some things about food that aren't true, and it's really important to know about food. And the things that they teach you about food, in my opinion, are less important than some of the things that they should teach you about food. They should teach you exactly how any of the animals that you kill and eat are prepared, because it's important to know that. Because if you eat animals for like the first 15 years of your life, and then you find out that they're actually being slaughtered and that they're actually animals, which I've met people who are 15 and they don't know that meat is an animal. That's pathetic. That's something they should teach you in school before they teach you that saturated fats are a bad thing. And, saturated fats might be not the best thing for you. But they taught us that, I got a wire caught in a drawer here. They taught us that saturated fat and some other kinds of things are what cause you to gain weight. And they taught us to cut down on carbs. But you know what? The purpose of eating is to get carbs. You eat for carbs and vitamins, but mainly carbs. What they should have told you is that sugar is actually what causes you to gain fat. There's a TED Talk about this, but you can look that up. And, it may be true that saturated fat is not good for you, but they teach you other things like cholesterol is bad for you. And that is partly true, because there are different kinds of cholesterol. There's cholesterol that gets clogged in your arteries, and there's cholesterol that allows you to have neuroplasticity and other kinds of really important things like being able to use your nerves properly. And when they teach you things that are partly wrong or that are flat out lies, you can come to conclusions where you're wrong, like even wrong, more wrong than they were to teach you that kind of stuff. Like that thing about the heroin. But really, they should be teaching you what you should avoid, not what you have to not do. They should teach you the side effects of things, and they should teach you why. Because if they just tell you that sniffing paint thinner is a bad thing, and if you tell someone not to do something, they're going to do it, because that's human nature. But if you explain to them that when you sniff paint thinner, it kills your brain cells and it does a bunch of other really, really bad things to you, it might make you think, I like my brain cells, so maybe I shouldn't sniff paint thinner. But that's just an example. There's other things that they teach you in that same principle. Also, they teach us about things that I can get more experience with in school. First of all, they lie to us about pot. I know a little bit about pot because I've looked it up. I've found some things out about it. And it's the most common thing that you can find students at public schools selling. And when you walk into a bathroom, you can smell people doing it often, very often. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, when there's closed bathrooms at the school, I don't have a choice of walking across the school and being late to use some bathroom because someone is smoking pot in that bathroom. It's not realistic. What's even worse is that I could be in a bathroom where I have to go to the bathroom, for a real legitimate reason to be in the bathroom. And I could get in trouble because there's other kids in the bathroom smoking and dealing pot. That is not fair. You should not be told or forced by law to go to a place where you can get in legal trouble for something that you didn't do. There's many other ridiculous things that they do at school. Like, if I'm a few seconds late to class, but if I'm a few seconds late to class 8 times, which, a few seconds doesn't matter. Actually, no, it's not 8 times, it's 4 times. They'll give you 2 hours after school detention, and you can't work on your work if it's for like a disciplinary thing. It's really ridiculous. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. If you didn't get enough sleep the night before, and that's why, you were rushing through breakfast and rushing to get to school, and so you were a few seconds late, or even a couple of minutes late, then making you stay after school and where they won't let you talk to people, which, frankly, that's insane. We are social creatures. We have to talk to each other. If we don't, we'll go insane. And they won't let you sleep either. That's ridiculous. If you were late to school because you were tired or something like that, and that's very common, a legitimate excuse. I mean, you should get to sleep the night before, but you can not get sleep for many different reasons. And so when they make you stay after school and not sleep and just sit there, what do they think is going to happen the next day? You think you're going to, come in on time because now you have 2 hours less to do stuff that day? No, you're going to be even later. It's a paradox. The kinds of discipline referral kind of things like lunch detention makes sense because you're at school and lunch is a break. If you are not allowed to hang out with your friends, that maybe will let you remember that you shouldn't come to school late. But if you have to stay after school for no reason and you just have to stay awake or something, then it's just going to make you later the next day. There's some really ridiculous rules at school, but like a couple of weeks ago, I was in a bathroom and some kids were smoking a vaporizing tobacco thing, and yet there's not laws in Virginia for that for minors yet, so it's technically legal, but the security guard noticed it and, not an idiot, so knows that he shouldn't be smoking tobacco vaporizers. But the security guard had to come into the bathroom, of course, because they're allowed to if there's a legitimate reason like that, and had to more or less figure out who's the kid who had it. I was in there. I got off without getting in trouble or getting searched because it was obvious to him that I wasn't involved in that stuff. But if it's not obvious, you can get in trouble because you're at a place where the government has mandatorily made you go. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. I mean, it's like, it's technically illegal to be homeless. You might as well just say it's illegal to be alive and not have a house. Because, I mean, it's not really illegal to be homeless, but it's illegal to be on property that doesn't belong to you. And everywhere belongs to somebody. That's ridiculous. There's homeless people. They should be allowed to be in a place, especially, like, even if it's a private place. If they're not damaging the place and they're not littering the place, and no one is actually using that place, you know, it's like a big square of woods that just happens to be private property. It's ridiculous to say that they can't be there. And, you know, with homeless people it's a different situation because they're constantly having to dodge the cops. I've found sites where a homeless person either was living or lives. I didn't see the homeless person, but saw sleeping bags, stuff like that, underneath a bridge, like a concrete bridge where you can hear cars going over it, and next to train tracks. It's ridiculous that someone should have to sleep there when there's, like, I mean, sleeping in the woods is not very nice, but it would be more calm and quiet to sleep in the woods than it would to sleep under an overpass next to the railroad tracks. Dog's getting tired of me talking to what looks like a little square. But, so, in my case, this is annoying because I like to go and climb trees, and I like to go into the woods. But, you know, I've been told, like, you know, you can't be here, you have to leave, or you're going to get in trouble for trespassing because I'm in the woods of a place that no one ever uses. Ever. I'm not littering, I'm not destroying trees or anything. Just hanging out in the woods. But if that's somebody's private property, even if they never use that private property, you can get in trouble for being there. And that's ridiculous. I mean, we're primates. We have an instinct to climb trees and talk to each other and that kind of stuff. And we should be allowed to live without having to pay for a house. I mean, yes, it's good to have a house, but not everyone can pay for a house. That's why there's homeless people. And when they basically make laws to where you pretty much can't be homeless, they might as well just make a law that says you cannot be alive unless you have a house and you have a job and all that crap. It's ridiculous. Really, I think that you should be able to go out into a place where, you know, where, like, some private woods, if no one's using those woods and you're not, like, littering or polluting the woods or damaging the woods in some way, and thrive in there. You should be able to go there and live. If you're a homeless person, you should be able to go there and climb trees. If you're a person like me, you should be able to go there and walk if you like to walk through the woods. And yeah, there's trails, but I don't want to walk on a trail through woods. There's no obstacles. It's not difficult at all. I might as well just walk on the sidewalk. I encounter just as many people. I don't go into the woods to encounter people. That's not why you go into the woods. You go into the woods to get some downtime and relax for yourself. But not everyone goes into the woods either. So, you know, I'm ranting on more or less. But my point is, there's some ridiculous rules in school and there's some ridiculous laws in society. And they need to be changed. Because at the moment, we're doing stuff that makes me ashamed to be a member of my own species. Literally. I mean, seriously, when I feel, like, depressed because I'm a human, because all the other humans are doing such ridiculous things, it's not fair. Maybe other people could say, oh, well, you're just an outcast, you're a person who's not like everybody else, so it's really not fair for us. But it's not fair to anybody. It's not fair on either side. People should be able to live together, and people who have a lot of extra space and aren't using that space should not be allowed to sue someone because they're, like, living there, you know. And if you're living there and polluting, that's different. But if you're a homeless person and you have your sleeping bag and, you know, a few supplies there that you carry around when you move, then There should not be laws against that unless you're, like, disturbing someone. It's ridiculous. And also, there should not be laws making things illegal because some company, wants you to, or because, a lot of businesses are influenced by it, or because rich people are being dumb bastards. And that's why a lot of things are legal, like marijuana. It was made illegal for that reason. If people were smoking marijuana all the time, yeah, maybe you'd have some slow traffic and you'd have some annoying people, but, you wouldn't have, like, violence and you wouldn't have traffic deaths. You'd have people driving extra carefully or not driving at all because they're sitting in their dashboard being distracted by something. It's ridiculous when they make laws because some rich person wants it or something like that. And they already are. They're making laws that make it easier for businesses to do things that are not fair. They've now made laws, I don't know where, but I think it's just general in the United States, and maybe it's just in Virginia, where businesses can make a campaign contribution, more or less. They can legally bribe a politician. I mean, it's not the exact same thing as bribing, but it's pretty much. I mean, it's almost exactly the same. So, I'm going to stop filming this because it's getting to be like 20 minutes long, and no one's going to watch a 20-minute YouTube video, especially if it's not edited and doesn't have funny stuff.